Hello traders and welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 111. It's Iliya here, and as always I'm super happy to have you on my channel. And as you probably know, in this video we're gonna have a look at the market, how it developed this week, what opportunities did we have, and what we can potentially expect for the upcoming week. So keep in mind that this is August. It's one of those slow months, right? Usually Q3 is one of those slow months because we have the summer holidays and all of that stuff. But we just had NFP. It's the first week of August. The tone for the market is set up. As you can see, the DXY formed a beautiful bullish candle right there. So we can potentially have some sort of expectations going ahead. Also, the interest of the dollar is rising, so therefore more money will be poured into the dollar, which means that the euro, the GBP, the Aussie, and all the other pairs can potentially decline against the dollar. So I think we have a pretty much a clear kind of fundamental direction bias. So I do really hope that we're gonna have some nice trending weeks going ahead. I'm still on a summer vacation and it's gonna last up until the end of August. I will be back to live trading and posting more content after the week of 23rd of August. So yes, if you're new to this channel, it's all about trading. I share these weekly outlook and setups every Saturday, and once per week I share an educational piece of content, and I'm gonna be sharing more trade setups breakdown videos on how I trade, my entries, and all that stuff. So make sure you are subscribed, hit the notification bell in order not to miss the future updates. And before we start, I want to mention that I've been trading some cryptos which are exploding right now, and I traded with Forex.com. It's an amazing broker that has an amazing initiative, because if you subscribe to their eco account, every lot that you trade goes towards planting 10 trees. So I really think that is amazing. I'm totally supporting them, and you should do too. So make sure to check the link in my description. And if you already did, let's see what do we have for this week. Alright, as always, starting with a DXY, our best friend, and especially if you trade the major currencies like EU, GU, and some of the others, this is the best kind of instrument or an index to look at in order to judge where potentially the dollar could go. All right, so as you can see, the first thing that makes perfect sense to me is this beautiful bullish candle, and basically this was the NFP candle, right? But again, just to give you a little recap, we have been trending to the downside. We made it this lower low, lower high, beautiful. Then the market failed to push lower, therefore it created this kind of shift of market structure, and right now we're potentially headed higher. And also, if you really zoom in, you're gonna see that there is those two little wicks that create structure on a lower time frame. So basically my expectations were I had two kind of setups. We can either respect this higher low and to potentially pump up, or we can pull back to the kind of the origin of this move, because if you drop your fib from the low to the high, the market hasn't pulled back towards the 50%, which it usually does, but not all the time. So basically we're currently reacting from the 38.2 fib, and therefore I do believe that in the upcoming weeks we're potentially gonna target this weekly high, because this high right now is weak. Why is it weak? Because it didn't create a lower low. Okay, so basically this high could be targeted. And also, if you pay attention to another little detail, we are having an inside bar right now. So if you have a look at this bearish engulfing candle, this week the market opened, created a wick down, but this week was no lower than the previous weekly wick, and also we closed inside the previous weekly candle. Therefore, potentially we can attack the previous weekly high, then we can attack this high, and then we can potentially even target the highest point right there. So I am pretty bullish on the dollar. And again, as I told you, the majority of the move developed on NFP. As you can see, we kind of pulled back towards this higher low right there on the daily. We consolidated right there, 30th of July. We opened right here, August, consolidation. Then we had this little liquidity grab to the downside with this wick. We pumped into the highs, which basically broke structure on, let's say, on the 4-hourly or on the hourly time frame, and then we potentially continued to the upsides. And as you can see, this is exactly what happened. So we consolidated for a little bit, then we had some sort of news. I'm not really into the market right now, so I'm not really focused. I'm also not trading right now full time. But yes, we had this very nice liquidity grab to the downside, which also what makes a lot of sense, it didn't break the low right there. Right, and then we actually broke structure, then we pulled back, beautiful higher low formation, and then we just exploded to the upside. Okay, so therefore, putting all of this together, I do believe that the DXY is actually running for the highs. The first question is, how can we trade it? Okay, well, usually after such a massive push, you're gonna have a pullback. But again, what I've spotted from my experience is if you have such massive pushes, the market does not pull back too much. So if you expect the market to pull back right here to potentially give you a retest of the structural area or to retest this little demand candle right there, most of the times it's not gonna do it. Okay, so what I'm gonna advise you to do is just drop your fib from the low to the high like this. If this is of course our high, how do we determine if this is our high? Well, we first need to see the market starting to pull back a little bit. So basically what you can also do is you can drop your normal fib, and I'm gonna be looking for the market to give me at least a 38.2 of this structure, and then to potentially see some sort of accumulation, then maybe manipulation, then break of structure, and then to potentially start continuing higher. Okay, so I'm pretty bullish on the dollar. This means that I'm bearish on EU, bearish on GU as well. But first of all, I need to see a pullback. Higher low created somewhere around those areas. It will be even perfect if we pull back towards this level right there, but I do not expect this. And of course, once we create this pullback, once we flow with the market as well, because it can develop in numerous ways, but I will be looking for something like this, a pullback, weak rejections, and then to potentially catch the continuation. Okay, something like that. How look, we had a massive pump that broke structure, we pulled back, we accumulated right there, we had the liquidity grab with those 2 wicks, and then we impulsed into the upside. So right here, I'm gonna be looking for something like this. So let's see if the DXY is gonna carry on to the upside for next week. Let's have a look at Euro USD. As you can see, a massive sell candle that actually is not an inside bar unlike the DXY, but is actually a bearish engulf. Okay, so this is a really strong formation, and definitely I've been calling this low right there for quite some time, and I do think right now we are actually going for it, because again, same situation with the DXY, we failed to make a new high. Basically this low right there becomes invalid, so the market is going to potentially target this to make a new lower low. Right, and as you can see on the weekly time frame, we have created a beautiful lower high right there. So as we start dropping onto the daily, it's gonna make even more sense. As you can see, we opened the market right here on the 2nd of August. We had some beautiful opportunities, to be honest. I'm gonna be showing you some opportunities that I monitored, and some of them I took, but with very small, like from the phone as well. But yes, we've started on the 2nd of August with a little indecision, then another indecision. Then again, we had the liquidity grab during the news. We formed this beautiful bearish engulfing candle. Then we had this ugly consolidation. I think it was on Thursday, this one, and then NFP, of course, just boom, took the market down. And currently, potentially these lows right there, all of those lows right here are gonna get targeted. Okay, so stay tuned for these lows being taken into the beginning of the week. So again, the biggest question right now for EU is, are we gonna have a pullback? Because after such a massive momentum, yes, we have this unretested wick right there that could be a potential retest area, but then dropping onto the 4-hourly time frame, you can see this massive drop to the downside. Okay, so my analysis on EU will be exactly the same as the DXY. I will be looking for some sort of a lower high formation to form somewhere around those areas right there, then to potentially take a short. Okay, so basically our current major structure is this. Have a look at this big wick right there that formed. So basically we had a consolidation, a big wick that took all the liquidity, then the market accumulated a little bit more, and then we just dropped to the downside. Okay, so this is our extreme lower high. But again, what I would advise to you guys right now is to drop your fib. And again, 38.2, 50, 61.8, the higher it goes, the better. Okay, but keep in mind that we can also have some longs. This takes a little bit more skill, because right now, if the hourly time frame starts to push to the upside, pull back, create a higher low formation, then you can potentially start taking longs, okay, into those short areas. So basically the market then is gonna potentially stop somewhere right there, and then to potentially reverse. Again, I do not want to forecast right now what's gonna happen, because I am not predictive, I am reactive. Always, because let's say that I tell you right now that the market is gonna pull back, but let's say it does this, it just melts to the downside on Monday, and then the analysis completely is gonna change. Okay, so really the aim of these videos is to actually teach you the thought process, so then you can actually go live into the market and apply what I do every single day. Okay, so basically right now EU extended market, potential lower low formation, and right now we're waiting for the lower high to potentially take shorts. Right now, I want to jump in to show you a couple of trades. Okay, so I'm going to trigger all of those trades that I journaled right there to just show you some beautiful opportunities. This was an opportunity that I also shared on my Instagram, so make sure you're following me right there. Basically, if you remember from the previous weekly outlook and setups, I was looking for this area to get tapped into, but I was looking for it to tap kind of into the beginning of the week, okay? But as you can see, from Monday right here, it took all the way to like 4 days for the market to reach that area, and basically this area became invalid. okay, because we formed all of this structure in between. The market was clearly showing us that it wants to go down, so definitely taking a long from right there wouldn't have made any sense. But from my previous outlook, I said that we have a break of structure on the hourly time frame. I'm gonna be looking for the market to pull back into supply right here, and then to potentially take a short. And that short actually took quite some time to develop. We had a lot of liquidity plays on EU this week. Like as you can see, we had a push up, the market then fails to continue lower, then we have another push up, creation of a lower high, then we made the lower low, but the market still failed to break the major structure. Basically, we still found support from this level, which for me is still invalid. And then we had another push to the downside, but this was basically the news, right? We have a massive pump down, then we had a massive pump up that took all the stop losses, all the liquidity that was resting above those highs, and then we actually initiated the move to the downside. So this is a little bit of a recap on the hourly time frame. And right now I'm gonna just jump on the 1 minute because this is the time frame that I trade right now to just show you. So basically this was the area that I was looking at. Right here, there is that big wick that took all the liquidity, and then we continued to move to the downside. So this is what I was mainly looking to take a short from. And again, I'm not gonna trigger the Asian range because usually I have a specific process that I teach to my members as well. We have a look what happens before, during, and after Asia, and this basically builds our bias for the day. But then we had this massive impulse right there around Frankfurt Open, so then the market started generating this little liquidity. So I was like, cool, I want to take longs from this area, but first of all, I'm gonna take a short because I have this level. And as you can see, the market beautifully manipulated inside this area, but I'm not rushing into the shorts yet because simply the market is bullish, okay? And then what we did is some sort of push, pullback, lower high formation, lower low, then we accumulated, and then we actually broke very nicely to the downside. And then as you can see, where is the last range before that break? It's this one, this little buy to sell. And if you go on the 5 minute, this is also a very nice supply candle. So the trade was taken from right here, stop loss of course above the structure and also allowing a couple of pips above. And then as I told you, this is this big sell to buy. I also made the Instagram post on this one, and the target was right here, which yielded a nice 4.4% or 4.4R, depending on how much you risk. Then the market developed some tricky price action right there, but this was basically the highest probability trade for Monday. Then I do believe Tuesday also provided some great setups. I would love to trigger the Asian range on this one because just to show you what happens when the Asian range is pretty trendy. Okay, as you can see, even from the Asian range, the market starts to build bullish prices. Okay, so as you can see right there, we create this manipulation down, then we push it to the highs, we create a higher low, failure to break above, but then we create still a higher low, failing to break below the previous low, and then we massively impulse into the highs, which means that the momentum is to the upside. And then what basically happens is the market comes to retest that last higher low again, fail to break below it, and then we actually, during London session, which is this green stuff right there, this is when we start to introduce the buys. Okay, so basically SB starts for a structure break. We had this nice push to the upside, pull back, another push to the upside that has generated a little bit of liquidity to be taken to the downside like this. And then the market pushed to the downside, and again, what it did, it created another range. So if you haven't checked my video on supply and demand, make sure to do so because the concept that I'm showing you right here are exactly those. We have the range, then the market initiates below the range to trick people into selling or to stop out other people, and this is where I enter right here. Stop loss below the structure and targeting into the high. So potentially I was targeting these highs right there. I did not think that the market is gonna make a new higher high because simply we were into premium pricing and I was expecting the market to actually go short, remember, into that big wick zone right there. And then of course we had another opportunity after the market took all of this flat price action right there. It created a nice push to the upside that broke structure. Where does that push originate from? From right here. So there is another trade, entry right there, stop loss below, and of course targeting the highs as well. My thought process right here was to take all of my profits when this high was broken, because as we had this push to the upside, the market pulled back, and yes, it still maintained the higher low, but I saw that it started to get faked. And then we started having this kind of push, pullback, and as it broke the highs, then the TP was right here. And then as you can see, the market perfectly broke to the downside. It was showing us that we pushed to the downside with strong momentum. It was not corrective. Okay, it was not corrective building liquidity, something like this, but it was strong push to the downside. And then we wait for that final high into the highs right there, and then we actually reverse to the downside. And this is where you can potentially start also looking for shorts. But I didn't. This was quite enough for me. This one was a 7R, this one was 3R, so basically 10R banked for the day. And basically Monday and Tuesday were the clearance day for me. Then on Wednesday it was kind of a mess. I didn't look at the market. Then we had a couple of longs exactly right there on the 4th of August. But Thursday was actually an amazing day to trade because it had a lot of liquidity plays. This one, the Asian range was really beautiful right here, as you can see, clear consolidation. The market opened with a nice manipulation below, but it's not enough. It was just a little wick. And then usually what the market does is, if you want me to share something with you, once it's gonna make a big move, it's gonna create a range. It's gonna take out the low, it's gonna take out the high, and oftentimes it's gonna retest and continue, but sometimes it takes out the low again, and that is when the real move occurs. Okay, the bigger the move you expect, the more fakes you're gonna get. Okay, so basically if you get a stop loss or if you get a break even, just make sure to re-enter. Okay, and this was exactly a very good example on Thursday. So what we have again is this manipulation below Asia, then we had a push to the upside. So basically if you try to enter from right here, is it wrong? No. But simply the market went for another liquidity grab, then it pulled back, and I want you to see the play right here of supply and demand. So basically this is our supply, the market pushes down, tries to find supply, tries to pull away, but then fails and then breaks structure to the upside. So for me, this is a valid entry area, which shows me that right now demand is overpowering supply. So this is where I took my trade right here from this sell, buy right there, stop loss below 2 pips, and then we ride it into the highs. I usually take partials at 5R, so there's the partial, but then what happened is I was seeing the market continue to build bullish prices, push, pullback. Then we had this little demand candle that initiated very nicely to the upside, and then I just spotted this flat top. So I was like, cool, before the market reverses, I do believe that this flat high is gonna get taken. So there is another entry from here, stop loss again below 2 pips, and a beautiful 3R just above this flat top right there. And then of course, as you can see, the market went into premium right here, premium pricing, which is above the 50%, and we started initiating to the downside and basically creating another fake. Those X's are just the fakes. What makes a fake is a following. I mean, a fake is a fake if it's followed by a break of structure. Okay, there is your fake down. The market didn't create a lower high, but created a higher high. Okay, so this is a fake. Then we have this fake below this low. The market pulled back, but didn't create a lower high, and it created a higher high. So basically there is another trade that I was looking to take, but it was not really nice. And then what happens later, guys, is we have another fake. Why is it a fake? Because then the market actually failed to follow through from supply, which is right here, and broke structure up. And there is the final trade that I was looking at after seeing this fake, the market pushing up, pulling back, higher low formation range. The market pushed outside of the range, and then I was looking to take a trade from here, stop loss below, but it missed. And this was actually another very nice 5R trade. Okay, so this is basically EU. Just wanted to show you a couple of trading opportunities for this week, but then going back to the initial analysis again, as I told you, I'm expecting bearish prices. So for me right now, what I also do, guys, is I always share my Tuesday analysis on Telegram, so make sure you're subscribed right there. But for a couple of weeks I haven't shared it because simply I'm not into the markets right now. But as I told you, I'm gonna be looking for a pullback, lower high formation right there, and a potential continuation down on EU. Euro JPY is a pair that I wouldn't touch right now simply because Euro USD is flushing to the downside as USD JPY is moving up very strongly. So this one will actually end up consolidating because it's a combination between both two. And as you can see, we're having an overall bearish candle, but nothing too much. And if you start dropping down, you can see, yes, the daily, it's kind of wicking right there. We pushed to the downside. It looks like a break. It looks like a lower high right now. So yes, I am more bearish than bullish on this market simply because we're respecting bearish price action. But then at the end of the day, yeah, the structure is just not clear. We had a nice sell-off right there. Then we kind of started to chop around. And basically, we're stuck between supply and demand right now. Basically, there is this big support or demand, and then we have the supply from the top. But basically right now my supply will be this one. I'm gonna delete this one right here. So basically there are your two levels that you should be monitoring on EJ. Okay, have a look how the market started to decline from the top right there. Basically a high, and then a massive flush to the downside. So basically this push to the downside broke structure, and this is where the supply was created. And right now we're potentially traveling towards it. But then as you can see right here, the market took liquidity from the downside and started massively impulsing up. So this is where demand was entered. And as you can see, the market reacted from demand, and right now it's traveling to supply. So right now the biggest question on EJ is who will overpower? Okay, so for me, potential setups will be, yeah, there are a lot of potential setups, because if you drop to the hourly time frame, you also have this very strong demand. Okay, so basically what you could have is a lot of opportunities. Okay, and I want to take your attention onto this because this is pretty much a very flat high. Okay, it's not strong, it's not a low like this, like with a nice wick then break structure. It's pretty flat. So what could happen on EJ is we can pull back right here, find some long opportunities, then take out this high, then jump into the supply, and then we can potentially film the supply reverse. Okay, so this is something of a play that I will be expecting on EJ, but this pair for me right now is not a high probability pair to be traded. So of course, let's see how it plays out. And if you are looking to trade it, those are the two areas that I'm potentially going to be looking for a trade. And I do believe that this high right there will be taken out. So let's see how this is going to play out, and make sure to keep it simple and don't risk too much on that pair because it's heavily influenced by the correlation of EU and UJ. Let's have a look at the Aussie starting from AU. Although we're having this kind of weekly candle, we had a lot of opportunities on AU and my community literally crushed AU this week. So basically, let me start dropping onto the lower time frames, and as you can see, the daily is as well pretty much bearish. And I do believe that with everything that is happening with the dollar as well, we're going to continue trading to the downside. We had this big wick right there that took liquidity, then we created this pullback, and then on Friday we actually flushed with NFP. So basically, just to sum up this week, again, we had this push to the upside that broke structure up right here on the 4-hourly time frame. So basically, I was looking at this wick right there to get into the market, got into it perfect on the 2nd of August, and we had a massive reaction up. And then you just still continue to follow the structure, because if you drop to the hourly time frame, there is your first trade right there from the wick. We had a push, a pullback, a range. The market massively pushes outside, breaks structure again, pulls back into this level, another beautiful long, okay? Then we reach the high, but then what happens is the market starts breaking structure to the downside with this very strong bearish engulfing candle. So if you see such high volume candle, then that means that a lot of people are entering short. So then what you do is you just find your lower high level and your supply candle, which is this one. The market pulls back right there, and I'm not gonna drop to the lower time frames to explain what happens right there, but there are tons of opportunities inside right here and also inside right here. Okay, so your homework right now is to actually check how you could have entered into the market. But very simple right now, as I told you, we're having a little shift right there from the high, from demand to supply. This is a high, then this is a lower high. The market broke structure to the downside right here. Currently, we are about to encounter a little bit of a demand, but if this demand is actually breached, then I do think that we're basically opening all of that downside. Okay, so basically, if I try to find where is my lower high, it's right here. You can also draw it from the wicks, or you can actually take the whole zone with this bullish candle, which is the supply candle. So what I'm going to be looking at this week, guys, is exactly the same as on the other pairs. I will be looking to see if I can catch any longs from the downside right there. If the market opens bearish, then starts shifting structure, then yes, you can potentially look for longs into this area where I'm potentially going to be looking for the market to shift and to provide me with a short. Okay, I do believe that this level is a pretty strong area because this is kind of, we accumulated, we had this fake out right here, and then we massively moved to the downside, and this is also a full hourly lower high that broke structure to the downside. So basically, as the market gets inside this level right there, which is, yeah, maybe 74-ish, something like this, I'm going to be looking for the shorts. But before that, we can definitely look for the longs with the right confirmation. Okay, so don't just try to go long from right there, because again, as I told you on EU, what if the market opens right like this? Okay, we have to adapt. But those are the two levels that I'm looking for AU, and overall I am short bias. As for AJ, exactly what I said about EJ as well. I do think that the JPYs are not a very high probability pairs right now, simply because of the strength of the JPY and the bearishness of their USD opposites. Daily time frame is kind of, as you can see, it's starting to kind of shift from the downside, which is not a good thing, but still this is the lower high, which is not a confirmed lower high because it didn't make a lower low. Okay, so basically this is looking kind of a reversal formation right here. But if I just follow structure very simply, it is even hard for me. I have this big wick right there, then the market started building bullish price action. If this is our major structure, it's not broken yet, we're just wicking above it, but we have so many broken structures before that. Okay, this one right there, then we have, it isn't this copy, this one, so we have breakout structure here, then we have breakout structure right here. So basically my higher low is this one. So let's see, very tricky pair to analyze, this one. So definitely I'm just gonna give it some time, and usually when the pair is like this, I just step aside. Okay, but to be honest, I'm more bullish than bearish on this one, which doesn't make too much sense. So I'm going to be monitoring how the market is getting right here, then potentially shift structure, and if we're going to have any bullishness, okay? But keep in mind that the overall trend is down, okay? So if we start having some bearish price action, and if the market actually violates this demand and breaks structure below, then potentially we can start adjusting for shorts, okay? So for the JPY pairs, it's really crucial that you wait for Monday and Tuesday to develop to see where potentially the market would take us, and then to just potentially follow the momentum. As simple as that. Let's have a look at the NZDs, which are pretty much as well not entirely clear. For me, NZUSD, I stopped trading this pair for a long time, and I'm also thinking to remove it from my weekly outlook because I don't trade it. And also, I would love to focus even more on some of the other currencies that I trade. So basically, a big wick to the upside on the weekly time frame, a massive, like you see the market open with a very strong push up, and right now we're retracing all the way down. So basically, is this a bearish or a bullish signal? Because if we start dropping onto the daily and the 4-hourly time frame, what the market is doing right now, it's breaking structure. Because if you have a look, like this is the lower high. If you simply follow the market, take your brush, lower low, lower high, the market failed to make a lower low, but then we've actually broke it right here. This is the lower low, which makes this our lower high, and basically this right now is broken with this, and we are turning into a bullish market, which does not make too much sense with everything that is happening right now. But simply, I have this very nice daily demand right there that the market is currently pulling back into. And as you can see, the 4-hourly time frame, I just don't like NU because you can see it's pretty like big swings, big liquidity plays as well. And if you have a look, like we jump from one big range right there, we have a nice impulse to the downside, then we jump into another big range right there. So right now we can have a massive pump to the upside, okay? I just don't like this kind of behavior, okay? But if I just zoom in to monitor the most recent price action, yes, we're shifting from the upside right here, but this is just the market reversing. Also very similar trade on AU as well, a massive pump to the downside, pulling back. But what is this is just shift for the market to potentially pull back and travel towards below 50%, which we're already there, okay? So on NU, just simply basing it on structure, I am long bias right now, but again, we are breaking structure right here, which is also 4-hourly structure. So again, if the market actually gives us a long right there, cool. I'm gonna be taking profit somewhere right there, because what could happen right here is the market can be overpowered by supply, and then we can continue trading lower, okay? So this is how I'm gonna approach NU, very carefully, because we're currently bullish, but we're starting to see some bearishness kicking in from right here. So let's see if we're gonna get any longs from this demand area. Then let's see how the market is gonna actually pull back towards this level right here, okay? And then if actually this level is violated to the upside, then potentially this is gonna open some upside, and we're potentially gonna target a new high. But if this level actually holds, then potentially we can be exposed further downside. So let's see how it's gonna play out, but I'm not really a huge fan on NZDUSD. NZD-JPY, man. Well, again, daily time frame, massive push down, pullback, failure to make a new lower low of this low, simply respecting also the demand that was created by this big wick. And right now what we're doing is we're breaking structure. So basically this is a perfect change to bullish market. We created a new demand that we can potentially target, but as you can see, NJ is currently at the highs. NU is already pulling back, but this one is currently at the high still. So yeah, basically, for very simple point of view, I will be looking for the market to pull back, higher low formation, and then to potentially pump up. This is all I can say about this pair. What could happen is you can take some shorts right now because the market actually liquidated everything that was above right there, currently changing the structure on the hourly time frame as well. So if we have something like this, lower high formation, then yes, we can continue to taking shorts. But overall, I'm looking for longs on this pair simply because everything is pointing me to the upside, okay? So let's see, this is my demand, sorry. If the market pulls back, I'm gonna be looking for longs. But up until that point, anything can happen. So make sure you clearly flow with the market, see where's the direction taking you. And yes, basically this is my outlook on the NZDs. Let me know what you guys think. Are you trading the NZDs as well? Shall I continue breaking them down? And if you do, what is your bias on them? USD-JPY, the driver of all JPYs. As you can see this week, we had a very nice manipulation play right there. The market created this huge wick to the downside, and then it was actually 3 days. So we created, like, we opened on Monday, we started with a bearishness, then we created this big wick right there. We broke structure, and then for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we were trending to the upside very nicely, okay? So currently the market is actually about to encounter supply from the daily. Okay, so what this is actually going to do is it might give us a little bit of a pullback to potentially then continue higher. And also this is what it's going to do is a potential head and shoulders formation. So let's see if that is going to happen. It definitely looks pretty good. Dropping onto the 4-hourly time frame, you can see that yes, we opened, push, pullback, lower high formation, push to the downside, lower high as well, lower low, lower high. And then we had this massive sell candle right there. That tricks a lot of people into selling, but this is basically this big sell before a buy again. Supply and demand video, range, the market manipulates below the range, and then we massively impulse into the highs. And if you just zoom out a little bit on the left, you're gonna see that right here, this is a pretty major higher low. Because this right here, the market accumulated again, took the volume below, pushed to the upside, pulled back, and then massively impulse from here. Okay, so this is the origin of this big move to the upside and the origin of this big uptrend. Okay, so simply what the market did is it tapped into this pool of orders, and then we just continue to trade higher. Okay, so again, very simple analysis on UJ. I'm going to be looking for a pullback, potentially expecting a reaction from this supply. We have a couple of areas to react from. We actually have 3 of them. Okay, which is not really nice, but I don't think that the market is going to come to retest all the way this bearish candle, because this will be kind of an area for the future. Okay, because then we continue to push high low formation. So there is another wick that also created a lot of demand. Come on, man. There it is, this one. And then we also created this one right here. So basically we can pull back to any of those areas and have a reaction. So basically what I'm going to do is, as the market pulls back, I'm going to be looking for potential shifts. Okay, if this doesn't work, then I'm going to be looking for this. And if this doesn't work, then potentially we can target even the lowest point. Okay, but this is how I'm looking at UJ right now. Perfect buy market. The only question is, where are we going to pull back? Again, if you're trying too hard, then potentially I'm going to tell you that you should drop your FIB from the low to the high, and basically, as you can see, this wick right there is staying just below the 50%. So if you want the highest probability trade, then it will be to wait for this level to tap, and then to potentially look for the reversal to the upside. Okay, so let's see if the dollar strength is going to continue pushing higher, if UJ is going to continue pushing higher, if the yen is going to become weaker as well. The fundamentals are definitely showing this, so let's see. I do expect quite some bullish market on this one, so make sure to focus on taking longs. Let's have a look at the GBP, starting from GU. As you can see, first of all, the GBP is not that weak as the euro, because we didn't have a massive flush right here, and simply what we have is an inside bar, okay? Because this weekly candle is inside the previous weekly candle. So basically the market can either target the highs this week or the lows of the previous weekly candle, okay? So not entirely sure of the directional bias. As you can see, the daily time frame actually took the liquidity to the downside, then we massively pushed into the highs, created a daily high, which is basically a pretty bullish scenario. And then of course, dropping onto the 4-hourly time frame, we have quite a few areas to react from. Currently, the market is reacting from this wick, as I indicated in the previous weekly outlook. This was the area that made a lot of sense, because this is when we had this massive impulse to the upside. As you can see, the market tapped once, twice, 3 times, failed to push above, and right now we're basically breaking this area. And the next point of interest will be this one, potentially to take some longs, and if this one fails, then potentially we're gonna start targeting this weekly low, which is the previous weekly low. So basically a couple of trades on GU this week, again stemming from this supply right here. There is this trade, there is that trade as well, and very simple on the hourly time frame. As we manipulated above, then we broke structure down. So there is your first very high probability short trade right there. And then of course I am not actively trading GU, so I'm not gonna show you any trades. But yes, a lot of trades in between right there. GU is a wild pair, so definitely need a lot of experience and a lot of balls of steel, I would say, in order to trade this pair. But we have quite a few masters in my community that are trading pair GU, so definitely you should stick out right there. But currently, again, as I told you, GU is overall looking bullish on the daily time frame. Right now, the 4-hourly time frame is starting to look a little bit too bearish, also breaking below this sort of structure. So pretty much similar analysis on EU. On the hourly time frame, we pretty much built up all of that liquidity over there, all of those orders, like first push up, second push up, third push up. Then we broke structure, then we actually pulled back, and then we actually created this lower high formation right there. And then right now we actually have a confirmed lower low. So basically for me on GU, I'm going to be looking again for a pullback. exactly the same as the other pairs, to potentially have a little pullback somewhere right there, then to potentially see the shift, and then I'm going to be targeting this full hourly demand, and then from there it's going to be a completely different story, because then we have to adapt and readjust our analysis. Okay, so pretty simple outlook on the GBPs. This is actually GU. Not entirely sure where we want to go and what is the long term on it, because also if we have a look at GJ, because of USD JPY as well, this is pretty much bullish right now. And because the GBP is not that weak, then GJ is actually pretty strong, as you can see with the strong USD JPY as well. We created this big wick right there, then the market started to impulse into the highs, and basically I do believe the hourly time frame was clear for that, because again we had this range again, guys, supply and demand video, we had the manipulation above, which you can actually take a short, because this manipulation up reacted from supply, then we massively moved to the downside. But what makes this a fake, again, as I told you on EU, is following up with a break of structure. Okay, so basically then we actually broke structure right here, there is your demand and there is your trade right here, then we push into the highs again, pull back, higher low formation, and then basically we continue to trade into the highs. So pretty bullish on GJ. Right now, again, we're going to respond from this little supply. Actually, we wicked above it, and it's not entirely clear where is my higher low on this one on the hourly time frame. So we can start dropping time frames lower, and yes, basically those wicks make sense. And if I transfer this onto the hourly, yeah, there it is. So basically this bearish candle, which is just a stop before the market pushed to the upside. So yeah, what can I say on GJ? I'm pretty much bullish on GJ, right? So what I'm going to be waiting for is for the market to pull back inside this area, to give me the entry patterns on the lower time frames, and then to potentially continue trading it higher, and maybe even targeting these highs right there. What is the bearish scenario? Well, a break of the structure right there, because currently if we're reacting from this supply, which pretty much, yeah, again, have a look, we have another liquidity play right there, we have a range, the market massively manipulates above. So right now, if this structure is clearly broken, then yes, the market can respond from this demand right here, but then it will really depend if we're gonna fail to break above this level. So take your long from here, but then just monitor how the market is going to respond from right here. And then if it actually fails to break above, then that is your signal for shorts. Okay, and basically supply overpowering demand. So that is for GJ. Currently bullish, but of course, let's see how Monday, Tuesday are going to open, and let's see where the momentum is going to take us. GA, pretty much, I don't know what's happening with this pair. I don't trade this pair, so do not trust my judgment on it, but pretty much looking bullish, massive pump into the highs, another pump into the highs, liquidation to the downside, failing to actually break above. So basically right now we're just stuck in this big consolidation. Okay, dropping onto the hourly, we can clearly see that it is consolidating. So for me, this pair is just a skip. Okay, I'm sorry for the GA fans, but I just don't trade GA and I can't stand this pair. Yeah, nothing too much to say. I will be looking for a clear break potentially above this level to indicate bullishness. Keep in mind that from the upside, we have a lot of supply, a lot of sellers incoming right here. So if this one actually breaks, then potentially this is going to expose a lot of upside. Okay. As for the long opportunity, if you drop to the hourly time frame and if you simply follow the structure right here, sell off, buy, break of structure, pullback, high low, high, break of structure, pullback. So this will be the area that I'm going to be looking for the buys. Okay, potentially if GA actually loves to follow structure like this. Okay, so let's see what happens on GA, but pretty much bullish. And also Euro GBP, if you remember from the previous weekly outlook, the level was this one, which was a pretty nice supply. We actually liquidated everything that was above, then we accumulated, then we started breaking structure to the downside, and this is when you can potentially start looking for beautiful shorts. 4 shorts right there, push to the downside, lower low, pull back, another lower low, second short is right here. There it is, then a couple of wicks right there. So a couple of shorts that you could have taken on Euro GBP, which means that yes, Euro is pretty strong and Euro is pretty weak, and this is why we're flushing to the downside, and also the GBP is looking a little bit stronger, and this is why Euro GBP is also flushing to the downside. Okay, but yeah, this pair for me is just using it for confluence purposes and correlation, because it shows me if the Euro or the GBP is stronger. Okay, but basically in terms of structure in this one, it's slightly difficult to identify, so I'm just going to take this one and very simple analysis on this one. I'm going to be looking for a pullback, lower high formation, and then to potentially see if we're going to continue trading lower. Okay, but again, the GBPs are not entirely clear for me. right now. GU is like one of my main pairs and I'm still struggling to identify the directional bias on it. GJ is bullish for me right now. GA, I don't trade this one, and Euro GBP is perfectly bearish right now, which shows us that the Euro is bearish and the GBP is slightly bit stronger. So therefore, kind of GU might still react to the upside. So let's see where the fundamentals will take us. And this is my thoughts on the GBPs. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. After accumulating for quite some time, gold is finally on the move after NFP as well and after the rising dollar. So of course, correlation purposes, we are moving to the downside. After failing on 3 attempts to actually break this high, and right now we're tapping into demand. But just looking at this massive push to the downside, then I can say that potentially gold is gonna decline, okay? But again, right now the question is, are we gonna have any pullback? So again, very similar to the other pairs, I would love to see a little bit of a pullback, lower high created before actually moving to the downside. But gold moves in a different manner, so it can just continue to move to the downside only after a pullback to the 38.2, okay? So make sure again to drop your FIB, be aware where your Fibonacci levels are, and then potentially look for a market structure shift into some of those levels. But if this demand actually gives us a reaction, it will be really nice because we're going to have a little bit of a pullback, and then potentially we can see if we can have any shorts. This little demand right there is already taken by this potentially. So if this one is actually invalidated, then I think we can have a lot of downside. So let's see, guys. As for the gold gurus watching this one, what is your thoughts, guys, on gold? Do you think it's going to continue declining further with the USD strength as well? Because right now the money is going into USD, meaning that the gold is going to decline. And where is your potential target projections? Let me know. Nothing too much on the indices as well. We had a couple of earning reports from big companies as well. And as you can see, all the indices are continuing to climb because we had some pretty positive reports. But nothing too much. Again, consolidation. This was the wick for this week. Then we pushed away, we pulled back to fill this wick, and then we actually created another push to the upside, which is creating another all-time high. So my stock portfolio is creating all-time highs every single week, and I'm also thinking of selling something, and I'm staying cash. I've been staying cash for quite some time right now, just waiting for the market to drop. So again, guys, do not invest too much right now as the market is at all-time highs. But US30, yes, right now breaking out at the highs. So basically this creates this new structure. So let's see if this is actually going to hold for next week to potentially continue trading higher. But for me, a golden opportunity right now will be if the market drops right here, because this will be a drop of around 3%, which kind of is a good opportunity not to put like the full investment amount, but just a little bit. Okay, Nasdaq as well, big wick right there, continue to push higher after kind of maintaining the higher low sequence right here. But again, I will be looking for a sharp drop into this level right there, which will be again another kind of a 3 to 4% decline, which will be really nice for potential investment. So let's see, but the current area is this wick. So let's see how the market is actually going to pull back inside this wick and if we're going to have any sort of structure change to the upside. But again, those all-time highs are not really nice. As you can see, S&P as well, consolidated, and still continuing to push to the upside. Okay, after this massive drop. So I'm just looking for another drop like this right now. We have them. We had one on the 18th of June. We had one on the 18th of July. Wow, this is a pattern. And the 18th of May, guys, on the 18th of August, I'm going all in. Like, have a look. 18th of May drop, 18th of June drop, 18th of July right there, 19th drop. So let's see if we're gonna have any drop, man. I'm excited about this one because I'm spotting this for the first time. But yeah, jokes aside, consolidation continuing to push higher. Definitely I'm gonna be looking for lower prices before actually looking to buy S&P. Having a look at some cryptos as well, massively pumping on Bitcoin, breaking above 40K, which is exposing even further upside. So where are we potentially going? Well, as we are right now initiating this bullish trend, also a confirmation is a new higher high, which is pretty good. So I do believe that we are going higher. Previous week, I spotted a couple of demand areas. This is the first one. We kind of had the reaction, but failure to follow through. We went to the downside. We reacted from this one. We kind of reacted, pushed away. Then we went for another liquidity grab. And this is when we actually very strongly reacted to the upside. So right now, yes, on BTC, potential new demand created right there. And this demand has moved into this right here. So let's see, any pullback is a potential buying opportunity. So definitely my crypto portfolio is also looking pretty good, especially Ethereum, because I was stacking Ethereum around 2K right here. My first buy was actually the first move down, I think, right here. Then I was buying some more right there. I'm pretty pissed that I didn't buy it even from right here. But yes, right now massively impulsing to the upside. And of course, respecting structure and respecting supply and demand. There's your range, the market pushes, pulls back, and we continue to trade higher. But as well, as the market starts to look steep like this, start taking profits because we're going to have a little bit of a drop potentially. But yes, as the market starts to impulse, usually with crypto, it does it in a very sharp fashion, I mean. So yeah, let's see. I'm not a big crypto fan. I'm just in the investment side of it, not too much trading it, but any pullback on the cryptos as well are welcome. So basically guys, this is how I'm gonna wrap up this video. I really hope you found some value. If you did, make sure to hit the like button. Give me some suggestions below down in the comments. What future videos would you like to see as well? I'm pretty much thinking about reducing the pairs that I'm analyzing because the videos are becoming a little bit too long. And I'm also spotted a drop in the time that you guys are looking at the videos, so make sure to give me some feedback on this. And of course, I wish you a relaxing weekend right now, a crushing week. Make sure to also take a little bit of a break because a chart time a time away from your charting time is also gonna pay you off at the end. Okay, so thank you so much for watching guys. Make sure you're subscribed, and thank you for your support, and talk to you on my next video.